Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for one of the last sessions of the Maritime Fundraising Conference. And thanks for your patience to wait for this great session. We have pre-recorded this session, but all four of us are available in the chat box or catch us however you'd like. We are Goals Gone Wild. I'm Lisa.
I'm Liz.
I'm Marnie.
And I'm Sarah.
4 years ago, we had the opportunity to come together to teach the fundamentals of fundraising. We all knew each other a little bit, reputationally, through the charitable sector, and we each brought our own varied experience, but together we realized that we just might have the potential for something more. Collectively, we had more than 60 years of experience and a shared passion to be cheerleaders, motivators, sponsors, and to help women advance their careers in our sector. At that time, we just had an idea. It was a goal ready to go wild. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of us know or have that list of incredible women. And a lot of us have some goals that are just ready to go wild.
What we're talking about today took us years to refine, and we're going to try and share it with you in 45 minutes. So to get you caught up, I'm going to start with 4 core values that we see at the center of our work. So we are advocating for an equitable and more diverse nonprofit sector. We believe in feminism as the social, economic, and political equality of the sexes. Our work encompasses advocating for inclusion and equality for all who are underrepresented in leadership roles. And we want to see more women in leadership roles. So today, we're here to empower you and help you be bold in your ambitions.
Sometimes it's just easier to focus on other people's needs. And now it's an opportunity for you to focus on you. Over the years, as we've presented sessions like this, we've asked groups of women in business a couple of similar questions. So we're going to present them here. Feel free to write your answers in the chat, but we've seen a few themes. The first one is, what achievement are you most proud of? When we've asked groups of women this question, there seems to be themes that bubble up. Things like their family, their kids, their team, or maybe an accomplishment that sits outside of their professional realm. So we're going to hold on to those responses because they're really important and they are all really big achievements. But let's reframe that question. What is the one professional achievement you are most proud of? Again, feel free to pop your answers in the chat. What we tend to see here are things like promotions, landing a really great major gift, starting a new job, a great performance review or a board report that went really well, presenting at a sold-out conference.
All right, so why did we reframe the question? Well, it's not to diminish the results. It's great that we are all proud of our personal and professional accomplishments, but the issue is, how would men answer this question in this environment? In a room full of men, and because we're recording this, maybe that's what it is, would they say that family is their proudest achievement? Maybe, but statistics show no. Women tend to feel that they have to mention their caregiver role, otherwise they will be seen as cold or insensitive. Men will automatically, because of how society has conditioned them and how it's conditioned us, answer this question professionally. They feel pressured to demonstrate their family devotion by performing as breadwinners. Even when that means more time away from home, men and women define achievement differently. And we are conditioned to downplay our professional successes. So today, think about this. How are you defining your professional success? Do we need to define it on men's terms or on our own?
So many of you who are joining us today will know us already, but for those of you that are coming from out of province or across the country, welcome to, I guess, virtual Halifax. And to provide you some context, Marnie, Lisa, Sarah, and I all work in the charitable sector in this city. In Nova Scotia, there are 8,500 nonprofits registered, of which 4,600 are registered charities. And as many of you know, as we're all employed in the charitable sector, there's around 71,000 employees across the province. And we are as big as the transportation or larger than the transportation sector. So obviously a significant part of the economy here and across the country. We are a highly feminized sector with more than 70% of employees identifying as female. However, as many of you may know, the top positions or C-suite roles in our sector still continue to be held by men, with over 80% of those positions identified as being held by men. And what's really even more stark is less than 1% of those positions are held by women of color. And this is not just a problem in the charitable sector, but it is a problem that we want to address in the sector in which we work and in which we live. So this is just a really good graphic representation of what we're talking about today. So the Globe and Mail did a Power Gap series, Robin Doolittle, who's a reporter, and they did an analysis of the top public sector earners in Canada. And you'll see here on the left-hand side, of the 1,059 people who are in the top 1 percentile, you have only 289 of those are women. And when you look at that category of the 289 that are women, we could only determine that out of those 41 of those women were, 27 of those were women of color or Black, Indigenous, or people of color. So what's holding women back in our sector from leadership positions? It's been decades since equal pay legislation came into place in Canada, and we continue to make just under 80% of what our male counterparts do. In leadership and in boards, women continue to be outranked at every level. We know that there are the same issues that are faced by women across every sector, and we wanted to highlight some of those today. So there's unconscious bias. This is the idea that women are more emotional. Sort of Sarah alluded to this previously, and that the answers that we get in our questions that we ask at other presentations. Women can't do heavy labor, men make better leaders. So these are all unconscious bias that we have as a society that unfortunately unduly influence our decision-making around leadership roles. There's the motherhood penalty. Research shows that there is a disadvantage against women who have children and a judgment of women who do not. There's the gender punishment gap. So research also shows that women face steeper penalties for making mistakes in the workplace. And in particular, the most recent research was in the finance sector, but certainly it applies across the board. When we look at intersectionality or look at this data with an intersectional lens, looking at the race, gender, identity, and disability, there are even steeper penalties in the workplace when those lenses intersect. And we also know about the double bind dilemma. Women who want to lead are liked more when they take care, but this doesn't always lead to more opportunities as a leader in an organization because you're not seen as a natural leader. So we believe that if you want to change the system, you cannot assume the system works in your favor. And what we want to do today is help teach you all how to navigate and game the systems that are holding women back. You may not all relate to the statistics we're sharing today, but a rising tide lifts all boats. Shift your thinking to bigger issues. Think of Black Lives Matter. We may not all experience systemic racism, but we all have a important role to play in changing the way that the systems work. So what do we know? We know that the system is built on biases and assumptions about women. Working will only get you so far, and we want to help you work around those barriers through the power of connection.
So in our 4 years with goals, 4 years of experience with Goals Gone Wild, we've learned a few critical pieces that we'd like to share with you here today. So we need to, or women need to be intentional about making time to set goals. You need to get practical experience and education to support those goals. And you need to have a strong network of supportive accountability partners who will keep you focused on your goal. To make this work, you will need a team, a clique, or an inner circle who all believe in this mantra, that we will succeed together.
Over the last couple of days, you've been joined by some incredible, dynamic, and successful people in our sector. And the thing is, you're one of them. In fact, there's no us, there's no them, there's no us and them, it's just us. It's easy to look at other people and compare yourself or rank yourself. But if that thought enters your mind, remember that there are other people looking to you and thinking that you are that person to them. It's often easier to see the incredible in someone else. So always remember that you are to somebody else a mentor. If you're inclined to downplay your skills or your talents or your accomplishments, stop it. If you're looking for one simple thing you can do to advance your careers, that's it. Suspend any disbelief that you have in yourself. Building a broad network that crosses boundaries like titles, levels, geographies, skills, even sectors, it's important. And these connections are valuable, but remember that women do network differently than men. So that inner circle or your closest connections tend to be the ones that are the most valuable for you. The inner circle closest networks that you have are the ones that can have the greatest impact on helping you set your goals and reach your goals. Your inner circle, they're going to be your champions. They're going to amplify you. They're the ones that can give you the best advice, the most honest advice, and sometimes they can give you the inside scoop. The challenge is to take the chance and be intentional about connecting with someone. Maybe it's somebody new that you haven't met before, or maybe it's somebody that you had in mind for a while that you've been thinking it would be great to connect with them, or gee, I wish I knew them better. Somebody that you'd like to bring closer into your network. Maybe it's even somebody that you would like to help and give them a hand up. So right now, start with setting that goal for yourself and be intentional about connecting with someone that you've had the opportunity to meet or listen to at MFC. It does take effort to build a network, and it takes even more effort sometimes to maintain it. But if you do it, it's going to be one of the most impactful things that you will do in your career.
If you and your friends are in the same field and you can collaborate or help each other, do this without shame. Men invented nepotism and practically live by it. It's okay for women to do it too. This quote by author Roxane Gay was one that the four of us gravitated to. It's a way sign that helped propel our thinking in this work. Stereotypical networking that men tend to gravitate to, like golf tournaments, somewhere there's fishing tournaments, drinks after work, don't necessarily work for women. They just have barriers. We have barriers when it comes to informal organization or industry networks as women. We tend to have to find time around caregiving or other family responsibilities. Networking for women is different, and it has to be. According to a Harvard Business Review article, women networking is often seen as a clique. And we're here to tell you that's a good thing. This is my clique. We need to redefine the word clique. When we get rid of that stereotype that keeps women away from building a network, we see that women like to be collaborative, bringing other women with them, breaking down the barriers. Isn't that wonderful? And it's not just about fixing the broken rung on the career ladder. Having a network that you trust helps when you are exploring new career opportunities or a move to a new organization. Your network can help you with salary and benefit negotiations, as well as possible insider knowledge on what opportunities to stay away from. Because maybe that opportunity, there is a culture of misogyny, harassment, or other misalignment of your values. To do this, you need to set goals and create a plan to share with your network. And you need to have a network to amplify and sponsor you. We will assume that many of you at this conference have either been a mentee or a mentor at some point in your career, and we'll do just a quick shout out to the AFP Nova Scotia Mentorship Program. Whitney Makem will gladly take your email on that. This is an important difference between, there's an important difference, between coaching, mentorship, and sponsorship. It's important today that we define what that relationship looks like and why you need to focus on sponsorship. For instance, a coach talks to an individual, a mentor advises an individual, and a sponsor advocates for an individual. So we're using sponsorship a little bit differently than most fundraisers will use sponsorship. We all spend a lot of time finding mentors and looking to work with them on engaging. But data shows that women benefit greatly from having a sponsor to help them navigate their careers. We want you to think of sponsorship differently. This doesn't just have to be someone at your work. We want you to build a network of sponsors.
So we want you to narrow in on who you need to amplify and sponsor. For women seeking to break into leadership positions, the key to success is other women. Successful women rely not only on a wide network of contacts, but also on a close inner circle of other women who provide support and gender-specific job advice. These social networks can strongly predict your placement in leadership positions. Among men, the more influential connections across the network, the higher his leadership placement will likely be. But among women, 3/4 of the highest achieving women have strong ties with an inner circle of 2 or 3 other women, the type of clique we've been talking about. Having that tight-knit circle of female friends provides women with a support system as they navigate their future. And the women in these circles can share information and opportunities as well as sponsor and amplify each other. The key to these cliques is each of the women in the inner circle is coming with their own set of contacts that are independent of the contacts of the other women. In this way, each woman serves as a sort of bridge to a vast number of other diverse connections. Beyond the network, there are behaviors we need to foster in ourselves and in others. You need to get comfortable with accepting and acknowledging when others recognize you. You have the opportunity, and we can and we should reiterate, repeat, and give credit to the women responsible for ideas, connections, and opportunities around us. There's a great example that came out of the Obama administration. When White House women staff grew frustrated with men ignoring their ideas in meetings, they created a strategy they called amplification. Whenever a woman's idea went unacknowledged in a meeting, another woman would reiterate it and give her credit for it. For you to be successful at amplifying, you need to stop de-amplifying. It's time to stop giving credit away for your accomplishments, stop undermining other women's success or adding caveats to their achievements, or highlighting the unexpected nature of their success. The 4 of us live this. If we know someone who has achieved a new major role for them, we'll send a note of congratulations, even if, say for example, we had been competing with them for that new position. So I want you to start today. Be generous and amplify the messages that resonated here with you, whether that's something you learned from the stage, or maybe you've had the opportunity to participate in the chat or another and have something good to share out of that. So please create this consistent behavior beyond today and beyond next week, so that in a way that makes you accountable.
Oh, accountability. And you knew that at some point we were going to keep ourselves on mute while we were speaking.
It wouldn't be a Zoom presentation if you didn't.
I planned that. So accountability, it's a word that everybody loves to hate. Who is keeping you accountable? As you're setting your goals, think about who can challenge you, who can encourage you, who can help you stay focused on your goals. Who are those people? Are they friends or peers, or people that you choose to just interact with from time to time? Or do you need to look in another one of your circles or build a whole new cohort of accountability? One of the things we found most valuable when we came together was the value of keeping each other accountable. Maybe it's because we didn't start out as that bestie kind of friends, and our friendship is really deeply rooted in professional respect. It was easier because there was a little bit of that arm's length approach to it. That doesn't mean that we don't care for each other and laugh together and enjoy each other's company. It just means that we keep accountability top of mind. And it's not always our favorite part of the relationship, but it is one of the most effective bits. When you think about who you'd like to have on your accountability team, you might want to think about friends, people who help you generate ideas, who question you, your confidants, researchers. Basically, think of this as your clique with distinct networks. Keep in mind, this is your group. So what works for the person next to you or for your best friend might be different for you. The key is to start to build your network.